Hello, everybody. I am coming to you from a basement, a secluded basement bunker somewhere in Scranton, Pennsylvania. No, this is what my parents' basement used to look like before we did the remodel in 1984. You can see it was old fieldstone. We had to dig down almost 2.5 feet. Anyways, in the summer of 1984, as I listened to the soundtrack of Rhinestone, I had to stain all of the wood here, all of this wood there, all individual slats and the moldings, all of that. It was crazy. But I could still sing Drinkenstein from Rhinestone. Budweiser, you created a monster, and they call him Drinkenstein. I want to show you something that directly correlates to who we're interviewing today. Here's Geronimo, which is this great painting. It's on like nubuck leather. It's very, very interesting. Then, of course, we have a model of a holster. Going to get my coffee soon. And then, of course, we had, some of the cavalry. The reason we have all that here is because my father, he's into horses huge as a young guy. He thought he was Davy Crockett. He even got to ride in some rodeos, and he also rode, he was a trail boss at one point. And maybe we'll bring that up because that's kind of interesting. Down that hallway and inside, right past Superman, is my tough gym that we saw in The Pretender. So keep watching. In a little while, we're going to be recording Dad, and we're going to interview him and see just how the crazy has fallen through the Kunda trees, and I got hit with every branch. Hello, Stacy.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
I'm excited. Two big reasons. We've got episode 40. And, by the way, I hope you're keeping those episode cue cards because I have a feeling after this episode, the Smithsonian's going to be calling for props from the show.
Yes.
I think this is going to be one of the sweetest, kindest interviews we've done in quite a while. But we'll get to who that is in just a moment. So 40.
40. That's a big deal. Yeah.
I'm pretty
excited.
proud of that. I really am. I'm marginally more prouder of the 40 than when I figured out the composition of Velcro. So at 40, now this is amazing because we've had to really sit and work together and grow. There were some growing pains along the way, and now we've come out and we truly are, I think. Oh, I was pulling up my shirt to show Rocky Files with the two turtles, but there you go.
Okay.
In the corner, there you go. That's us, the two turtles.
Yes.
And, and I like the fact that we're looking away from each other because it's like you're looking at bringing your point of view. I'm looking at bringing my point of view, and we're under the rainbow of the Rocky Files. So I really like that.
Thank you. That was fun. Yeah, that was a fun one to create for sure.
So how's the moving going? How's that process?
It's good. We've been sick for a couple days, so I am currently a little high on Dayquil, but there was no way I was missing this episode, not in a million years.
Right.
Yep. 40 is a big deal. And then,
I think so.
We want to send out big news for us this week. We had Sly follow us, so we did a few cartwheels. I didn't break anything in the process, but we were we were very excited for that and very, very grateful because he doesn't, he I think he is choosy about who he follows. So that was so nice.
And I'm very appreciative of that. It's just a great thing. It's nice to get a little bit of validation for I think time and work and just I don't know, loyalty to the character. I think a loyalty to Sly that I he knows what that little click will mean to and for us.
Yes.
Let's face it, if the Rocky Files follows or doesn't follow Sly, he may not notice, but we will notice when he follows or unfollows us. So now the pressure is on, Stacy.
Yes.
Now we have to have the eye of the tiger with our podcast.
Yes.
Because, could you just see Sly tuning in some night? He's sitting there, he goes, I think I'm going to watch this really awesome podcast with my friends. Okay. Click. He's just gone. So we have to really live up to this now.
No, he knows who the true fans are and who the drive-by Rocky fans are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So that really is that's kind of a good thing. Anyways, well, we kind of have a big interview today.
We do.
I don't know. Do you want to waste talking time about just trivial stuff, or do you want to get to the meat of it?
Let me tell you, this guy, our very own Mike Sr., the influence to our Mike Jr. here. Great interview, and great pick. I cannot wait for people to see him.
I know, me too.
The sincerity in this guy is second to none, and I just want to get to him. So absolutely.
So we already interviewed him, and we did the pre-interview, and then I said something about that, but I wanted to say one more thing I forgot to say.
Yes.
In 1985, Stallone was at a function, and he was wearing a tuxedo, but it wasn't the traditional tails or the long past the waist coat. It was just a waiter's coat. It looked like it was a tuxedo, but it was a waiter's design. It was cut right at the waist, and he looked fantastic in it. I said, I got to have that. So it was 1986. It was my prom. And so I had, my hair was all permed out, but it was wavy. I had timed it out so that the perm would grow out just enough. So it wasn't too tight, but it was kind of rather wavy, kind of like it is now, unassisted. So Dad made me this tailor. He tailored this jacket for me. He got a tux with tails, and he cut off the tails, and then he put a little trim right around the edge of it. Couldn't tell the difference. And it really became a trend after this. A lot of people were wearing them after that. But I guess Stallone was really setting a trend. Anyways, it was a bit of a suit of armor for me to wear at my prom, because anybody who knows me, my prom story is not a great one. My prom date left me for someone else, another senior. Yeah. So, I mean, at least she ended up marrying the guy. So at least, they're still together. So at least it was her Mr. Right. And I remember just sitting at the table, looking around. Wasn't a great prom.
Formal wear in Denmark for more than 31 years.
This is one of our European...
And knows all too well picking out the right tuxedo can be as overwhelming as picking the white dress. For starters, there's the neckwear.
Bow ties are classic. They're never out of style. Long ties have always been in formal wear. Always.
And the jacket. 2 buttons or 4. And of course the color.
This is one of our newest additions right here. We're very proud of this. This is from Oscar de la Renta. This is called the Silver Cloud.
Tails, vests, wingtips, whatever your dilemma, Michael's equipped to solve it. He even deals with disgruntled loved ones.
Dads are very difficult people to deal with because it's the daughter, okay? They either want to be treated specially without saying it, you have to know that. They either don't want to be a part of it because they feel left out because the daughter is leaving. And you know what I mean? So this whole kind of thing goes now.
Michael's best advice, don't register for tuxedos too early.
6 to 8 weeks is more than enough time for them to come here, for us to register everybody. It's plenty of time.
And pick a formal wear shop with a tailor on site, because the last thing you need is to break at the seams on your big day with no one to stitch you back in place. In Dunmore, Stacy Weaver, News 22.
I think it's about that time we bring in our guest. This individual is somewhat responsible for a lot of the craziness in my life. And I think that in my opening little segment to start the podcast, there is a crazy tree in the Kunda genealogy, and I was hit with every branch on the way down. But it's not really so much a crazy thing as much as it is a very vivid imagination. Whether it's escapism or whatever it was, my father, he had a great deal of it as a child, and I'll let him explain why why his imagination was so valuable to him as a child. But I thought a few months back, boy, wouldn't it be interesting if we got mom and dad, or at least dad on. Mom, sometimes she's not exactly she's a little camera shy. So
my mom's the same.
Is she really?
Yeah.
So if you're ready, I don't know if I'm ready, but if you're ready,
I'm ready. I can't wait.
All right. Well, let's bring in the big ragu.
Okay, here he comes, Mike Sr. Woo! Yay!
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Dad. You're here.
Too much of my life, Michael.
Well,
too much.
Well, we're going to get into that. we really are.
Well, can we use false names? It's too late now.
Well, you know what? We still are at an undisclosed bunker. Oh, no. That's right. We're no longer. I have disclosed where we are from, where we're at. So I can't even say we're somewhere in the Alaskan wilderness recording this. So, Dad, first of all, thanks for kind of being part of this. This is great because I think a lot of people want to hear from you. You know, especially people who saw The Pretender, they loved it. They loved your energy, your thought process. And they also loved the way Mom played off of you, made Google eyes at you when you said very funny things.
That was her power.
Yeah, right?
So,
exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are going to be interested. So if you don't mind, we're going to take a little journey, and maybe we'll sort of start a little bit at the beginning. Now, let me just say this. You are half Italian, half Ukraine, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that's interesting because at this point in time, you know, we all know what's going on in the world and things aren't that great. And although we've never taken a family vacation to the Ukraine, we certainly wish all that craziness comes to an end very quickly.
Yeah.
Are you aware, Dad, of any relatives in the Ukraine still?
Way far removed now.
Yeah.
In when I was a child, my Ukrainian grandparents would babysit myself and my second oldest sister because Mom went to work and Dad went to work. So we had a lot of relatives in the Ukraine. They were they were closer to the Russian border, where the grandfather was from and the grandmother.
Sure.
The original people, my parentage ancestry. So it was called the Steppes region of the Ukraine or Russia, where the border they crossed just like it is today.
Yeah.
People who feel more Russian than Ukrainian or more Ukrainian than Russian. That's where they're from. I can't tell you the name of the village though.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But anyway, that being said, the Ukrainian heritage, I always liked it because my grandfather used to tell me all these wonderful stories about him in the Ukraine.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Wow.
And he owned a horse.
Oh,
and
did he?
The horse's name was Pony Boy. And his mother used to send him down into the village on the horse to get the groceries.
Yeah.
Maybe I was 7 or 8 years old at the time.
Right.
So as a result of that, my fascination with horses and riding horses, the grandfather instilled this kind of imagery in my head, if you will. So and I would see myself doing that. So
right.
Later part of my life, that became
well, that's what I want to get in. I definitely want to touch on that before we get into Rocky and Pretender stuff. So, you know, your imagination, that's clearly where I get it from, you know, the imagination. And a series of events happened in your life early on that led you to Davy Crockett. And Davy Crockett had a profound impact on you. Tell me just a little bit about that Davy Crockett thing. Why Davy Crockett?
Well, adventurism, I guess, maybe to start with. He was a great adventurer. As I found out later in life, reading about the true facts of his life. Yeah. But what Walt Disney did, they created the Davy Crockett series on Disney's Wonderful World on Sunday afternoons. Yeah, Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
And they brought Davy Crockett forward, and they made him a folk hero. Fess Parker played the actor Fess Parker played Davy Crockett, along with Buddy Epson, who was a very famous actor of the day, played his sidekick. And the stories always started out with great things that Davy did, ending in the Alamo, where supposedly he went to his death along with some 100 and some odd defenders. And the legend of Davy Crockett, the Alamo frontier, all was born in the series.
Gotcha.
I condensed it all.
Yeah. No. I'm with you. Let me ask you a question. This is maybe we need a historian. What are the odds that Davy Crockett survived the Alamo and is living in a trailer park in Pittston somewhere?
No, not a trailer park. No, his body was found mutilated.
Was it really?
The Mexican, at the time, Santa Anna's army, when they overran the Alamo, mutilated the defenders as much as they could, in all kinds of ways. And his body was identified eventually, and he was properly buried and so on at the time. So again, everything else is legend after that. Yeah.
Right.
Now you had a thing, Stacy. I'm sorry. You please jump in. Stacy.
Oh no, this is fascinating. I'm good. You guys keep going.
All right. So Davy Crockett has a coonskin cap.
Right.
And that played a role in your life, as years later a fedora would play a major role in my life.
Correct.
What was it about the coonskin cap? Because tell us about that.
Well, as a kid, by the time I was 8 when the series started, I was 11 when it went off the air, I think. But in that time period, each Christmas I got a different piece of paraphernalia, Crockett related. Mm-hmm. So at first it was the buckskin outfit, but cotton with fringes, to look like buckskin. Yeah. Then it was moccasins, and then finally I got a coonskin cap to wear, and it was really cool. It was very genuine. It had the big coonskin thing in the front and the tail, the whole bit.
Yep.
So I was not opposed to wearing that to school, to wearing it in the neighborhood, then to ambush Indians and Native. It was. For
those of you listening and watching right now,
neighborhood area.
Do you see where I get it from? Everyone, did you see?
This is epic.
Right here. There he is.
You want to know where it happened? That's where it happened.
Yeah.
And I would go on my hunting expeditions. I had a plastic long rifle.
Yep.
And a antler horn gunpowder thing.
Right.
And along with anything that made me look like Davy Crockett.
Of course.
So I would hide in bushes and spring up on my friends or ambush pirates coming up the Lackawanna River. That was a river in our town.
Yeah.
And so on. So my imagination took me to all these different places. And
was it ever was it ever a suit of armor for you, or did you not need that at that point?
Not so much a suit of armor. I never saw it that way.
Okay.
I just saw myself as Davy Crockett.
Yeah.
I didn't need to be protected from other people because bullies were a big part of my life. Yeah. And as a kid, I sought my revenge in different ways. Yeah. Not very, very unlike some of the things that would be acceptable today.
Yeah.
I would ambush my bullies.
Well deserved, I'm sure.
They deserved it.
Yep.
Now you used to throw old blankets over the back rail of your house. Tell us about.
My mother had a lot of woven rag carpets. Yeah. So I would take them off the kitchen floor, anywhere I had them, and I would fashion them into a saddle. And then I took rope and made stirrups, and then I tied the reins rope to the banister column, and I'd sit there riding across the Great Plains.
Wow!
Exactly.
My musket and my mother would be screaming in Italian. She called me all kind of names in Italian.
Right.
Then in the bottom line was put the carpets back after you're done. Just put them back.
Put them back.
So I had to make camp. So I would take the blanket, the carpets rolled up as a saddle, set it down on the porch, get my bedroll out, and pretend I was out in the wilderness.
Campfire.
And so she'd come out. She'd say, she called me skivus, and that was crazy one in Italian. She would yell other things and so on. She grabbed the carpets, take them back in the house. So when my father came home after working his third job, and that would be around 7 o'clock at night, she goes, "Your kid's crazy. This kid's crazy. He's out there riding on the banister like it's a horse." This, that, the other thing, So he goes, leave her alone, Louise. Leave him alone. He'll get over it. Let him alone. And I never got over it.
Never got over it. Now that's a good segue, Dad, because okay, so a series of events happen. Your mom passes away far too early, and you were the oldest, so you had to go to work with your dad. You drop out of school in 9th grade, and I say that because you make a remarkable life for yourself in the sense that you were successful and that you have a loving wife and 2 kids who have become, I suppose at least one of us is successful, meaning my brother. And we'll get
into that later.
Well, I like to tease on that. But so, wondering how you go from working with your dad, learning the craft of being a master tailor, you go through your teens and 20s and so on, and then you get hooked up with horses again. When do horses come back into play, which were almost, if I recall correctly, horses were a passion of yours to a degree?
Oh yeah, I lived it. Yeah, literally. There's one story I can't tell on air, but that story, so we'll just let it go at that. But eventually, the company that I went to work for officially, aside from my father, was called Sarno & Son. And they were a tuxedo rental agency in the city of Scranton, a heart of downtown. And at the time, tuxedos were white, black, and blue. That was it, a ruffle shirt here and there. But my primary job was tailoring and sales. So over time, I learned an awful lot from my father, but even more from Mr. Sarno, who was an immigrant from Italy at the time. Not at that time, but he came as a young boy. I'm speaking of Larry Sarno's father.
I got you.
The owner. And Larry worked for his father, and I worked for Larry.
Gotcha.
It was a kind of they were trying to move the father out of the business.
Right.
Larry into place, and then have somebody take over Larry's job. And that was tailoring.
Yeah, right.
That's how that started. But he was a horse person.
And he had horses.
Yeah. He had a stable full of horses at his home, which was in the countryside, not far from where we live.
Yeah.
So every Saturday for 3 years, I put on my chaps, my denims and my cowboy hat and my cowboy boots, went up there and rode all morning, maybe into the afternoon. And it was one of the most wonderful experiences because now I was actually living.
You're on a horseback. You're living it.
Horses.
Yep.
And I learned how to take care of horses. I learned how to, recognize things, how to make sure that they were properly cooled off.
Yeah.
Brought down, after a ride and so
sure.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go from there to. You did a little bit of trail bossing rides. You helped them out with you went through the mountains with some business.
We had one of the biggest trail rides at the time. We had about 27 or 30 some odd riders that myself, Larry, and his young son, Mark, had put together. So everybody had trucked their own horses in. He had a big property. And it was amazing to see these horses coming off these trailers. All the tack was there with them, they were saddling up, and it was just one of those things. And all the media was there. Larry asked the Scranton Times at that time, WYOU TV, one of the local TV stations, to come and cover all this.
Right.
So he says, Mike, I want you to be out there. You're the trail boss here. I'm going to direct everything to you. So you do the interviews, they'll take your picture, and so on and so forth. I said, all right, whatever. And so I'm in black, though. I had it because everybody had light colored turquoise, and I wanted to be all in black hat, black shirt, black jeans, and it was just all duded up. So anyway, when the reporters were looking for the organizers, they were directed to me. So then here I am on horseback, right? And they were down on the ground. So I'm leaning on the side. Oh, it was the dream come true. It was like I was this trail boss of this big cattle drive going out through Wyoming and Montana.
Right.
That's how it felt because I'm on this horse. And they're asking me all these questions, where we're going and how long we're going to be out. And, you know, are you worried about safety, this, that, and the other thing? Yeah. And I said, well, yeah, we have trail riders. We had, like, you know, on the golf course, they have golf rangers.
Right.
Well, we had horse rangers, people who are expert riders, good riders, who rode parallel to the group.
Right.
To keep everybody
keep everything safe and in line. Yeah.
The horses going in the right direction. So yeah, that was one of my wonderful times.
So you go through a series of those adventures, and then you get a bump up in life, and you go to Metallos, where you continued your success as a tailor. And I'm telling you the stories, Stacy, and everyone listening right now. Dad had a 9-to-5 job, and he would come home, and it was always, you know, 5:30, 5:45, dinner in the kitchen nook with my brother and my mother and other. And the stories were, it was just, they were never ending. The amount of strange, unique individuals living in Dunmore, Pennsylvania, there could be a Netflix series on it.
Wow.
There could be, and I really would love to explore that, but it's not so much Rocky centric. So we're gonna move on a little bit. So the horses, then, when you no longer worked for Sarno, that kind of, you know, the horse connection sort of petered out, went away. Then, do you recall what motivated you to take me as a kid to Circle B Ranch up in Mount Pocono to start riding together?
Right. What my goal was to buy a horse. That I knew all about horses. I knew how to take care of horses. I knew what they needed. I knew what was involved, and I was really going to be committed to that. And they were going to sell me a horse at the time because I had gone up a couple times on myself, and then I would bring you along as time permitted or what we were doing.
Right.
And I was all set to do all that when circumstances jumped right in to stop you cold. Yeah. And that's always money.
Always.
That was the problem. And I thought I had the money, but then we needed that money to put somewhere else.
Yeah, so, exactly. Always the case.
I didn't hesitate, you know. I said, I'm going to go riding. And it was inexpensive at the time.
Yeah.
To pay for an hour's worth of riding or however long it was.
I remember Sunday mornings we used to go.
And so on. So that's how that all went over time.
Yeah, I remember just the amount of fun we had. And I had
a lot of good times.
I had gotten maybe just shy of a medium expert level. So writing wise. And then after a while, I know what the problem was. I had discovered a co-species on the planet called girls. And girls, they don't like a guy that smelled like horse. Right, exactly. Girls didn't like guys that smell like horses. They wanted a guy to have like a horse engine in a car. And so I realized, well, I need to get a job in. Dad, you've been great, but got to meet a girl. And that went nowhere fast. And so, you know, then the times being what they are, that you move on. But we're going to move on from the horses very shortly. One last thing. It was great because it's one of the final pictures in my book, Cue the Rocky Music, that you can buy at Amazon or exlibris.com. It makes great Christmas stockings. It fits right in the it's great. It's great. It's a fast read, not a lot of big words. And one of the final pictures, it was a Father's Day present. When we used to live in Camp Hill, we lived right outside of Gettysburg. And me and Dad went, and I bought him a horseback tours, the battlefields. And Dad, I don't know, what was your memories of that? It was great.
I know I was very emotional when I read what you gave me because it was a fantasy of mine again.
Right.
What better place to ride a horse onto one of the most climactic battles ever fought in the Civil War?
Absolutely.
I still get emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I never forget how we prepared for it. And I couldn't wait to get to the stables and competent people there and so on. We mounted our horses and
it was electric.
He explained what was going to be seen and how it was going to be seen. And they gave you a little recorder with earphones. And there were parts of it that were pre-recorded and then parts he would inject live conversation about what we were seeing in real time. Right. So it was, 15, 20 riders, maybe. It was a few riders.
About that.
And everybody had their sneakers on and other stuff, but I can't ever show up looking like just everybody else. So I had my.
Do you remember what you had to help me with? Remember I showed up with the chaps, but I had them on backwards, and everyone's making fun of me. You just started whacking, as Paulie would say. You
sort of revealed something that kind of would be left to the imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah,
as Paulie would say, you whack those bums out, Rojo. So, all right. So we had a great time with the horses and all that stuff.
We did.
And I guess, Stacy, maybe we should jump into, I don't know, would you want to do the Pretender, or you want to do some Rocky stuff first?
Oh, that's up to you. However you want to. There's a bunch of questions for him. However you want to.
Let's do that, because I wanted to give a little backstory for Dad, and Dad's backstory is far greater in depth than what we did, but I'm just trying to condense it because I know there's a lot of other things I want to hit on. So I don't know. Go ahead. I'm going to pull up some questions, and why don't you pull up some questions, and let's start with that and see where we go.
Okay. The Stallone kid on YouTube, who I'm going to be posting more from this young man. He's a very young man. He is amazing. This kid.
He is. He
really
is.
He just warms my heart that such a young person is so moved by Rocky. But a simple question for you, Mike Sr., favorite Rocky movie and why?
Well, that's obvious. I mean, it's Rocky 1. It'll always be Rocky 1, and that's just that simple. But that was the beginning of that. Where is he? Right there? Michael, where are you?
Michael.
That was the beginning right there. 8-year-old Michael. And that's when the legend began.
Yeah.
And the story began. So, I associate that with that period. Everything after that was fun. The films were great. Enjoyed them all.
What was it about the first Rocky, Dad, that you liked so much?
The down and outer, the underdog, the guy that was always struggling. That was me. I was always trying to prove myself. My education was very limited because of the circumstances in my life. And I always regretted that intensely. Now, I could have followed up later in life, but there was always a reason why I couldn't.
Yeah, I hear you.
But that was I always cheered for that guy who was struggling, who was on the edge of just breaking. Right. And something happens to change it. So, that's why I loved it. Yeah. That's straight away. Everybody loves it for that reason, I guess.
I think so, too.
Watching him just like, just to show up. Give me a shot. Just give me one chance. That's all I need. Right. Then I'm happy. I'm good. But anyway.
Yeah.
I got a question. It's from EMK 5508. Did you ever try to talk me out of this Rocky thing or always encourage me? Thank you, EMK 5508.
Well, that's a multi-layered response. There has to be a multi-layered response because
I know
when he was 8 or 9 or 10, it was just movie stuff.
Yeah.
And he was still in school. But as years went by, that never left him. That was always right behind him, always following him, always there. So we always saw bits and pieces of it. And then when he got to be 16, 17, or 18, he would get up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, go break the eggs, drink the eggs, run around the city in his sweats and his bobos. So I said to my wife, I said, what's with this kid? I mean, he's doing this crazy stuff all the time. And she goes, oh, don't worry, he'll grow out of it.
Okay. Or not.
And we waited for him to grow out of it. And he grew into it. That was the other. He grew into it.
Yeah. Head first.
It was a serious, not even a fantasy, just a serious quest in his own heart for this character. Then we were 100% on board. Everything. We found a way to help him make it happen. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or Stacy, help him in that direction anyway.
Yeah. Stacy, what do you got?
Let me see. This one was, I love this one. What Lorenzo is asking, what is the craziest Rocky thing Mike has ever done?
Oh my gosh.
I know an answer to that, but
crazy. I just say within the realm of his imagination. What was I can't say any of it was like crazy. I can only say it was a journey. It was always a part of something he was going through. And when we watched him go through various things, whether they were boyfriend, girlfriend things, school things, family things.
Mm-hmm.
It never struck us that he was way out of line with his dream, right? But we always knew that he needed an education. And we were always juxtaposing education to daydreams.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was only a dream for him to be who he wanted to be and, the character. So his mother was the proponent. I supported everything that Dee wanted done. So it was education. Yeah. And when he was balking at that, that's when we got really concerned, because he's going to go out into the world with nothing but this dream, and then he has to make a living.
Yeah.
To me, maybe that was the craziest part of it. that little bit in there. So
I would say, and
we could never separate ourselves from being parents.
Sure.
To being that part. So
being that you had the Rambo thing over your head there. By the way, my father's at a local Scranton bar. We were going to try to pass it off as an Upper Soho. We have a friend of ours that has a beautiful bar.
Michael.
So the Rambo picture up there really reminds me of a very quick short story. Who's that? Lorenzo that asked that?
Yes.
Yeah,
all right. There was a time, and I write about it. I'm only going to just touch on it very quickly. I had dressed like Rambo with the brown canvas poncho, the headband, sticking the ferns in my back and crawling through the woods. And I had and I had the Rambo knife and the authentic replica one. And as I climbed over, went up to McDade Park, and I climbed over Kaiser Avenue. There, as I rose from the bushes, about 12 feet to my right was a state police cruiser, just sitting on the side of the road, right? So I didn't see him, and I'm halfway across the turnpike, and I don't know what he must have thought, but it's all in the book. It's in Q the Rockies. You can read about. So that was a little crazy. And then another crazy thing was, unlike normal people, I never sat and really watched football. Not really. I mean, I did it once in a while, but I was more concerned on a Sunday when I didn't work or have school. I would dress like Rambo, and I would fill these little kerosene film strips. You know, the old film strips you would put in the black container with the little gray and submit them to get developed. Well, I would fill those with kerosene. We used to have a kerosene heater in the basement, and I would take the thing, I would fill them with kerosene, and I would kind of just tuck them in my pocket, and I would walk up to this place called Naog, and I've put a bunch of videos up. It looks just
Mike,
like.
Can I just stop you 1 second?
Yeah.
I want it now. Things are starting to come back to me.
Yeah, see? That's right.
I was reading the Sunday
bow and arrow
one morning. Stace, this was stunning. And he had all the paraphernalia in his room. He had the outfits. He had the Rocky clothes, the Rambo clothes. He had every detail.
Yeah.
So I'm reading the paper there, and I know he was heading out to I thought he was going up West Mountain, which wasn't far from us, but maybe he was heading over to Naog. So anyway, I'm reading the paper. So I looked up, and I see him come down the steps, and he's all in black. He had the Rambo hair from Rambo. What was it? 2, Mike?
Probably 2. Well, yeah, 2. Right. Yeah.
Black headband. He had the quiver of arrows on his back. It's a big knife on his side. He had the black boots on. And so I said, "Hey, where you going?"
They were mean to me at school.
he goes, I'm just going up. I'm going out. Yeah. I said, "What do you mean you're going out with that stuff on you? What are you talking about?" Yeah. I said, "Michael, you have weapons on you. You don't look normal." and he goes, "Dad, you don't get it." You turned around. I remember we said some other things. Yeah. You walked out, and I said, "This kid is actually going to do this." So I walked out on the porch, and I watched you walk down the alley. And the 2 girls, remember the 2 girl sisters?
Across the street. Yeah, the 2 sisters, yeah.
They were coming down the alley, and they go, "Oh, Mr. Kunda, is that Michael? Oh, my God, he's Rambo today. Where's he going?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "But I certainly hope they don't capture him because he's in trouble." So I made up another story.
And you got to remember, people that are listening to this right now, most parents should have gone to the authorities at that point. or a doctor to get me some colored pills.
Well, there was a point where we did consider therapy.
I know.
There was a point.
I know.
But I had something better.
I know. But you just slapped me in the back of the head and I snapped out of it. It was like Cher in Moonstruck. Snap out of it. And so to finish this all up with this incident, I had gone back in back of the middle school where coal dumps and some bit of little woods, footpaths back there. It's all homes and businesses now, but I would take the bow and I would just sight it in. I had practiced on that bow just like I had been practicing. It was one of the few times in my life I hung Rocky up for a little bit. And I said, okay, let me try Rambo. Maybe it may help me meet a girl or whatever. So I would sight the bow in. I carried a target. I carried the bow and the quiver of arrows dressed as Rambo. And I would go back there and I would just start shooting arrows, field practicing at 10 yards, 30 yards. I got up to about 85 yards and I was hitting almost dead center of the target after about 4 months. I just kept practicing and practicing and practicing over and over and over and over. And because I wasn't a hunter, I could never hurt an animal. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just living out a fantasy in that moment. I was getting away from everything else that had either intimidated me or scared me. And these characters provided that escape. Rambo was an escape. Rocky would become a philosophy, a way of life for me. But Rambo was great. I still love the Rambos. I mean, they're amazing. But in today's age, you cannot walk around with like that. There'd be like a SWAT team putting me in my place. But yeah, no, I'm glad you recall that. But I don't know. That phase didn't last that long. I think it was about 18 months or so, maybe 2 years at the most. I think
long enough.
Well, that's kind of funny because the next question I have is from a good friend of mine, Sly Stallone, Philadelphia, Tony D. And he said, when did you first realize that Rocky was more than just a movie for me?
Speaking me.
Yeah, you.
Oh, yeah, okay, it's a question.
Our guest, the guy we're interviewing.
Yeah, I forgot. I thought I was in the living room. What?
Exactly.
I thought your mother was looking at me and she's like, don't talk too much.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she warns me all the time, Stacy, don't talk too much.
No, talk away. Talk away. You're good.
So anyway, when did we realize it was serious? Oh, we realized it early on. Once the collection started, once all the questions about boxing, the seriousness of boxing, I knew a lot of people in those days that worked with the heavyweight champions of the world, real boxers, real people. And this one, well, it's in the book.
Lou Del Vecchio.
Yeah, Lou Del Vecchio. He was a very close friend, and he was a promoter, boxing promoter. But he was also a very, very close friend of Larry Holmes, who at the time had just defeated Muhammad Ali for the heavyweight championship of the world. And I thought, boy, if I could get Michael and Larry Holmes together, talk about the reality of boxing and what it means in your life and what it means to be a boxer and the sacrifices that you have to make, right? So anyway, I told Louis about this time, and he said, listen, I'll arrange a meeting with you, Larry, and myself via phone conversation. I said, yeah, Lou, that sounds fantastic. I love it. So the next thing I know, a couple of days go by, a week goes by, he calls me, he says, Mike, he says, I'm going to have the champ on the phone, come down to my office at the time, and I'm going to have Larry on the phone, and your son and Larry could have a conversation about if Michael wants to be a boxer, no better guy to talk to than is the champion of the world at this time. It was Larry Holmes.
Wow.
So we got to Lou's office, and Michael's all rockied up. He's going to tell them about what he wants. So Lou, we introduce him and so on and so forth. And then so Larry picks up the phone, puts Larry's champion on speakerphone. So they introduce each other. And Larry had a unique way of speaking. I called it Eastonese because he lived in Eastern Pennsylvania. Eastonese, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was very kind to Michael. He said, Michael, let me ask you a few questions. He says, you come from a bad family? And Mike goes, why no? He goes, are you into street gangs, or you want to get out of the street life? You don't have any other skills, or are you uneducated? Mike said, well, no. He says, I'm gainfully employed or whatever it was at the time. And so he says, did you ever get punched in the face so hard that you can't remember your name? Did that ever happen? Well, no. He goes, well, right then. Why do you want to be a boxer? Why do you want to actually put yourself in those circumstances? And there was a whole lot of conversation that went back and forth. So in the end, it was one of it might have. I don't know if you could say it was a turning point, but the subtle realities of boxing were landed where they should have with Michael at that time. Then I think he just realized that I'll stay in school. Were you in high school then yet, Mike? Or you?
Yeah, that was right before the Lucian Rodriguez fight at the Watchers Armory.
Right, yes, yeah.
And I remember
the title.
I remember Larry had said one thing in particular that really stuck with me. He said, "Mike, you got to make a bum drunk before you mug him." And
I remember that.
In other words, you got to work at
real
it
hard.
You got to work at it
to win anything, to fight for anything or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had two moments like that. That was a big turning point realization wise to me. And the other one was when I was maybe a sophomore in high school. And that's right around the time Rambo 2 had come out. And I was all charged up to be a Green Beret. I don't even know what I was thinking about the military because I don't even like the color green. So, all right. So, my mother, I don't know if it was you or mom that said it, Deb, but at one point, do you remember when I walked down, me and Brian Donahue walked down to the recruiter's office and I was dressed as Rambo with the green military jacket, red t-shirt, and I put my jeans in the boots. Yeah. And the military, and the guy, he looked at me too. Boy, this kid's right. Yeah. So he gave me some pamphlets to think about it. And I don't know, I was still charged up to join the Army after high school. What a disaster that would have been. So mom, I think it was mom, she said, what? You know what? John Mark's in. My cousin, my mother's sister, and Marion, she has a kid. His name was John Mark, and he was a Green Beret. And so she said, why don't we just go talk to him? And the little bit of shocking information he shared with me, there was nothing covert, obviously, but he did tell me some crazy stories. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to work for me. Right. So and at the time, it was funny because there was a very popular picture of Stallone around this era where he was wearing a pink Oxford shirt with the collar, and it was unbuttoned a little bit, and he had the black hair, and he was just, this picture was everywhere. So I thought, well, I'll wear that pink shirt. And so I'm sitting here in a button shirt at my aunt's house, and it was just not the best. I made the right decision. I really made the right decision.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got, Stacey? I got some more too.
Let's see. Austin asks, what is the best quality you see in your son?
Loyalty.
Oh,
loyalty,
isn't that
integrity, honesty?
Yeah.
Second to none. Loyalty, first of all. Loyalty to friends, loyalty to family, loyalty to wife, extended family, just those. That's it right there. That's it. You could say a lot of other things, but those are the important things in life. Those are things that matter.
A nice singing voice? Not really. No. I mean, that's really what counts, Dad. Yeah. A singing voice.
A singing voice. That's right. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. What do I got here? My friend James from Australia. Mr. Kunda Sr., when you reflect on Mike's journey, how do you feel as his dad, and what influence has his journey had on your own life?
Oh, great question. That's a great
question. Crikey, mate. I'm not quite sure how to answer that one. I was waiting for a chance.
James, if you're watching, I apologize.
I try it. Anyway.
Apologize.
So anyway. Okay, just repeat it one more time because I was getting my mind ready to do that silly stuff. Oh.
When you reflect on Mike's journey, how do you feel as his dad, and what influence has his journey had on your life?
Oh, gosh. Michael, from the day he was born, influenced my life in all kinds of ways. Not until he was at that split point where he knew his responsibilities. He had to earn a living. He never gave up his dreams. He never gave them up for anybody. And that's the serious part of his journey, is that he always did the right thing for his family, his wife, his job. He committed to a job that he wasn't suited for, his skills. He learned, and once he learned, he was very good at what he did. But paralleling all of that was the dream. Right behind him, always, never left him. And I can't tell you how many people I know that quit their dreams, quit their ambitions, quit that part of life that I'm never going to get there. It's too hard. Too many things in my way. But as I always say, it's a pride in what you believe yourself to be, because that's who we are. You know, you have your own true identity, and that's who Michael was. And boy, once his mom and I realized that, hey, we were behind him 100%. Yeah. And all I knew was we had to support him. We had to help him. Yeah. And so his mom, we all felt the same way. His brother, Jason, and his brother, we could tell you stories about those two. The funny stuff, good stuff, brother stuff, love stuff. Yeah. And boy, oh boy, I tell you.
It's funny. You would
that home to us.
It's funny. You would think that if you knew my brother and I, he was the older brother. Yeah, I mean, he's the older brother. Really, I'm older. I'm older than him by 5 years, and you would just think he was the older brother just because he's always been very, very focused. And I think to my success and to my detriment throughout the years, I always had used this Rocky thing as a crutch. It paid off in the end, but it really was like a 1,000,000,001 thing. No one could have predicted it was going to pay off in the way that it did, but it did. But, that's the thing about my brother. He was always so focused, and he was always very succinct in what he did. It really.
Can I tell one quick story, Mike?
Yeah, of course.
Keep going.
When we have a great grocery store, Garrity Supermarket, right next to our home. And I knew the owner, I knew the founder of it, and so on and so forth. And they have a chain of stores throughout the Northeast part of the country. Anyway, Jason and Michael didn't work there. Jason did. But Jason started as a stock boy. Now, Jason had a sport coat for every event that he went to. These are things that he had to have. Sport shirts, slacks. So this one day, Michael happened to be home after school when Jason was getting ready for work. Now, most of the kids that worked on the floor just wore their shirts, T-shirts, whatever. Jason comes down with a sport jacket on, a nice casual shirt, slacks, nice slacks. So Mike goes, "Where are you going? What are you doing?" And so Jay goes, "I'm going to work, Mike. I'm going to work." He goes, "Unlike you, I take pride in how I look." And so, so Mike, as Jason leaves, and Mike goes, "Dad, what the hell's wrong with him? Why is he like this? Why does he act like that?" And I said, "Michael, did you look in the mirror? Do you see how you're dressed right now? Your brother goes the other way. He goes
right
the other way."
And I said, great pride.
You admire that in him. You wait and see.
And I would come. I always got dressed like it was dark in my room. I would come out with a red sock, a brown sock, a Nike, a hiking boot.
That's the one that we could never sway him from, Stacy. Never.
No,
never could. Never.
Clothing never meant anything to me. And for you and Jay, that they were high priorities.
Right.
Very high priorities.
That was our job. First of all, that was my job.
Right.
The better I was what I did, the easier it was for me to do what I had to do.
Sure.
Right. Exactly. And I was always wearing one form or another of a Stallone character.
Correct.
I was wearing those clothes, which I still do to this day. Look, I got the Dempsey shirt from Balboa.
Yeah.
So I'm never without some article of clothing like that. But the problem is that's not Stallone. He don't dress like that. Stacy and Dad, you remember back in the 80s, he was an exquisite dresser. He had Johnny Versace. He had everything. He was always immaculately dressed, which he took great pride in. But I never picked that up. I just never cared about clothes. I was more of a Springsteen guy that never did laundry look. That was me.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how I was.
Brian Safard and I had the exactly same question. And I just wanted... When is the moment? Because, I get it. You want your kids to thrive and be educated and be able to provide for themselves. What was that moment that you went, holy God, this kid's going to pull it off? He's actually going to turn this into a profession. He's going to do it. Yeah. Like, tell us about that moment.
Well, first of all, it starts when he got fired. Mm-hmm. He wanted, because he couldn't continue on what he was doing. He was going to quit anyway.
Yeah.
So and he made a promise to himself and then to us in a casual way that he wanted his life to mean something for the next year or however long he was going to be unemployed. Right. And I what could he possibly do? You know, get another job. You know, he needed income. He had bills. He had car payments. He was married, so on. His wife had a good job at the time. So, you know, considering jobs in this area.
Yeah, right.
He said, "You know what, Dad? I'm going to write a book." And I started laughing. I said, "What? Mike, you failed English." I said, "How are you going to write a book?"
Oh, poor kid.
It's true.
That's what I said to him. He goes, "Dad, nope. He says, there's programs on computers that'll help with spelling. There's this and that." I said, "All right. Yeah, okay. Sounds great. Go for it." And I never thought he would do it. Never thought he would do it. And the first thing I know is that he goes, "Or you buy the computer?" And I said, "Well, I could be." I said, "What's up?" He goes, "I'm going to send you 2 drafts of the book that I'm writing." I said, "What? You're actually writing a book?" I told you I was going to write a book. And I said, "Well, what is this book going to be about?" And he goes, my life, our family, things. I said, "All right, well, I'll read it." Well, I couldn't even get halfway through it, and I get emotional even thinking about reading what he wrote.
Oh.
And
it was filled with misspellings, and it went nowhere. And he goes, "Oh, my kid's going to be in a nut house."
When his mother said, I didn't recognize the misspelled words because I'm no great speller myself. But she always said, "Oh, look at he did this wrong, he did that wrong." And I said, but I would never. I the last person I would tell him, but I always made fun of it because it was a family
what we do.
characteristic.
We
So
do goof on each other about that.
And then it was the chapters kept coming in, and I said, "Wow, Mike, you've got something here. This is really good." And I couldn't believe I was saying this about this kid who we had to beg him to go to school every day and be himself. You're going to sit in class. Don't sit there like Rocky waiting for the bell to ring. You know, you gotta participate.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how that happened. So,
that's so true.
That's when I knew. I knew that there's something was going to come of all of this.
Right.
Yeah.
I believed in what he believed, and we all did.
Yeah.
Team Kunda stood up and said, "We're there."
Oh,
it's true.
So yeah.
One of the other people on my list here, I can't find what she wrote. So, Carol, if you're watching, I apologize. What you wrote was really beautiful. She didn't have so much of a question as she did. She really said it in a very beautiful, poetic way, precise. That just thank you to you and Mom for bringing me around and supporting and all those wonderful things. She was just passing it on. And I think she is CMMS, I think is her Instagram.
Stuff.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She's
really
such
quite lyrical in her remarks.
She is.
Yes.
Yeah.
She is. And she's been a big fan of our Rocky Files podcast. So I just want to thank her for that. Stacy, before we move into the Pretender, any other questions that came in that were of decent?
Yeah, Mark Bomarito, we haven't heard from him, and I just want to say congratulations. He just got married.
He just got married.
Yes. He just got married, yeah.
And he's having a kid.
Yes. And
yes,
he's having
he's
a boy.
my age.
He's having a boy.
I can't believe it.
Marciano, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
congratulations, buddy.
He said, making Mike finish that wrestling game that that wrestling match he did not want to finish.
Right.
Do you think that was key in what helped him to stick to his dream and to give him the courage he needed to never give up? Do you think that was?
Well, all I knew was I walked away from too many good opportunities because I was afraid. Me myself personally.
Yeah.
At different times in my life, I was afraid to take a chance.
Yeah.
Opening a business, I was always told I should have my own business. This, that, and the other thing, but that's another story entirely. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, we were supportive. Jay and I would go to his matches. We go down Saturday if it was a Saturday. Sometimes after school he'd have a match, and we would just cheer for me. He wouldn't always win. Maybe he won a couple times. Did you pin anybody, Mike, at the time?
I did not. I was the only one in West Scranton history with a complete losing record.
But it was a team sport. It was a team sport, and you were learning, to be a part of a team. That's what I saw. That's what I wanted to experience. How to be a team member. How to play with groups other than just by yourself.
Yeah.
So when that incident occurred, I thought it was very important for him to finish. First of all, I didn't care if he lost. I didn't care if he won. I didn't care if his shorts fell off in that match. But I just wanted him to walk back in there and say, I am not going to quit this. There's no damn way I'm going to quit this.
Yeah.
Right.
But he wanted to. He wanted to. And,
well, you're right, Dad.
Failing. He didn't want to fail. And he didn't want to fail in front of me, probably, and his brother and friends. Maybe more important, his friends. Yeah. And the team.
The whole gym. The whole gym was, there was, I don't know, 1,000 people in the gym or 800 people.
Because Westside had a pretty decent wrestling team at the time.
Yeah.
You were in a lower class weight, right?
Yeah. It was a wrestling tournament.
Yeah.
I was in 5th grade at the time, and or no, 6th grade, I think.
But it was down at the high school, the match.
It was at the high school, It was to go in further, and
the day I saw him walking back, Jay and I are going down, and here he's walking back toward us. I go, "What the hell's going on?" Oh, and he goes into this spiel, this, that, and everything. I said, "All right, let's go back to the house. We're gonna get this thing straightened out." And then after that, he said, "I can't do it. I can't do it." I said, "Yeah, you're gonna do it. So let's go." We all walked back down.
That's the truth.
Got back in there. They called his name to go out on the mat, and whatever happened at the time. But Jay and I were cheering like crazy.
Oh yeah.
It was because he lost the match.
Yeah.
The match, and people were looking at us like, "What are you doing? You're cheering for the kid who lost." That's right. That's my kid. That's why he was there. And he did it.
It was a much bigger message than
exactly.
It was very much like Rocky in the sense that it wasn't about winning. It was about that personal goal of getting past it. And I remember while writing the book that I had to get a job. I mean, there was unemployment was running out. Nobody was hiring. It was 2008, the crash and all of that, and the economic crash. And so it was very difficult getting a job, and I wasn't qualified for anything. And there was one job, I'm not going to go into it, but one job that I wasn't suited for. I tried, and I was just they gave me some kind of tremendous math test that you had to take inside of 15 minutes. And I could have walked and ran away from that, but I said, "No, don't. You didn't run from the wrestling match, don't run from this." So that for me, that is something, one of the most significant things. And then another thing that's very significant was The Pretender, which Stace, what are your thoughts on that for Dad?
On The Pretender?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I when I first saw The Pretender, and I've said it to you, and I'll say it to Mike Sr. here, is the parallels between Mike Sr., your life as a young man, and Mike's life as a young man, and your imagination and your determination. You guys keep saying, "Oh, I'm a little bit crazy." I don't know. That's no different than Stallone, really. You know what I'm saying? He has imagination, he had determination, and he was just a little bit crazy to believe, hey, I can create this movie and make it something. And I think The Pretender reflects that exactly. It's like, to me, it's not crazy. It's imagination and determination. And, the whole nature versus nurture. And now it's like, wow, you guys are a carbon copy of your childhood experiences.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? And it's very neat to listen and just to realize how much Rocky and determination is in Mike Sr., which was passed on to you, Mike Jr. And then you create The Pretender, and it reflects everything that the Rocky character is in your experience. And so that when I was watching it the first time, I'm like, well, it's clearly no mystery why he's a Rocky fan, because he's doing it. And now Mike Sr. with Davy Crockett, and you lived out that fantasy. You're on the battlefield. He's on the tours at the sites. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going, oh my God, it's the same thing. It's the same experience. And so The Pretender to me is a tribute to all of that and the both of you. So, in what you've created, and large part of what Michael is influenced by you. So
very much so.
Yeah.
When it comes to The Pretender, Dad, what did when I first told you about this nut job from Detroit that wants to film the Kundas, Jimmy Toscano, who has become like a family member. What was your initial thought process that, regardless of what you told me?
Watch out for a hustle.
Yeah.
You know, because strangers just don't walk up to you and say things that Jimmy said to you that day.
Right.
You know, later on in that day.
Yeah, right.
So, but I didn't want to be negative about it either. And the one thing I know Mike has is a lot of good common sense, a lot of native intelligence, you know, a lot of good native intelligence. So I wasn't so much fearful that he'd be taken advantage of, but I didn't want to see him be made a fool of.
Yes.
I didn't want someone to do something that was going to make him look funny or silly. This was going to be some kind of satire for this guy. Whatever the hell he was doing. You know, what was his real motives? Boy, was I wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so glad I was wrong.
Don't you llove being wrong in that way?
I love being wrong on this one, big time.
Yeah.
But only because we loved him so much, we didn't want to see anybody embarrass him in any way. Because he believed in what he was doing. Regardless of what you may have been planning or someone else.
Yeah.
Michael had his focus straight and narrow. It was all he did was to focus on his dream. And The Pretender showed all of that. And it was beautifully and sensitively done.
Yes, sensitively. Yes.
Beautifully and sensitively done. So,
I can't think of a better name for a documentary about
that was a problem
our
for
life.
me.
I know it was. It was for Sue too.
Yeah, that was hard. A pretender. This kid's no pretender.
Oh, yes, I was. My whole life, I was a pretender.
Well, in a way, yes. In a way, yes, but in a way, no, too.
I pretended to be Rocky. I pretended to be Rambo. When I was dating Sue early on, I would take my fake Lamborghini to Dodge Daytona. I would put that at the No Easy Way Out and drive through the streets of Scranton, jamming, pretending it was a Lamborghini. So I was always pretending. And the second I heard Jim say, well, we're calling it The Pretender, I thought, that's it. That's it. And then it's the ironic, oh, wait a minute. He's not a pretender.
Yeah.
He's the real deal.
That's when people came up to me after the premiere, Mike, in the city, people who from your past that were doubtful Nellies about you. And they had all these different remarks. I'll never forget the one young woman who came up to me with her husband, and she stood there, and I was talking to some other people, and she couldn't wait to speak with me. And she was waiting patiently, and I didn't know who she was at the time. And the opportunity came, and the first thing she said to me, they were introduced, and it turned out the person that was there was my insurance agent, who turned out to be a very good friend of our family, and his wife. So she took my hand and she said, I first of all want to apologize for not believing in what Michael is doing. She said, after seeing this movie, this documentary, she goes, I see it all. She's like, I see it all. Yeah. I see everything that he was and is and wanted to be, and how it evolved to the point where the end of the film, he meets his hero. Yeah. He meets his idol. He meets the very man. And he had other meetings, but not like this one.
Yeah.
And so I said, and who are you? And she told me her name. And she was one of Michael's nemesis. Is it word nemesis? Miss Nemesis?
Yeah.
Never had good things to say about Michael.
Nobody had good things to say about
I think
me.
Personally, she liked Michael a lot. She didn't know how to handle it. Yeah. That's my personal feeling.
Nobody liked me.
I think
Trust
so.
me.
I think so.
Trust me. I got the empty calendar slots to prove no dates.
Oh.
Anyway,
so now The Pretender, right?
Yeah.
So The Pretender, it comes out, and do you remember My Fear of Flying? We drive to Detroit.
Yes, Detroit. It was a hell of a ride. I'll tell you that much.
It was fun going out.
It was a fun ride in a way.
Yeah, on the way coming back, and so it was really great. We had a lot of fun out there in Detroit with the big premiere. It was great. But on the way back, we were also exhausted from it. We had to stop in Pittsburgh, and we had another 3.5 or 4 hours to go 3 hours to go before we got to where I lived in central Pennsylvania. And I just couldn't drive in 3 more hours. Nobody could drive. And it was right before Christmas, and it was the Christmas festival was opening up around the river across from the football stadium. And it was one of the best nights of our life. We had so much fun. We really did. Yeah. It was unique.
The one thing, Stacy, about our family is that we're a small family. We have 2 beautiful sons, 2 daughter-in-laws that could be daughters.
Yeah,
that's how I look at both of them.
Yeah.
And they're supportive of myself and my wife, and respectively of each other and their husbands and Michael's career. Yeah. And anytime we gather, sometimes we have some extended family members that are same part of Team Kunda. They're still as supportive, like cousins. Mike's cousins show up at dinner sometimes, and the camaraderie and the joviality of it, and the admiration for. I think it's for all of us because we all feel the same feelings.
Yeah,
they were all here the night that Jimmy filmed most of the interviews with family members, myself and my wife, and gathering and celebrating that is that's. So I said to Michael, I said, you know what? I said, we're a small family, but you know what? You belong to the world now because this film is going to be seen in every continent, in every city.
Yeah, it's true.
And Michael, what's the recent thing Jimmy told you?
And Jimmy just told me that Gravitas is opening it up to all over the world now. And I just now it's no longer for free. They realize making money now. So now it's back to $10 to buy or $3 to rent. And I thought, the little film that had legs. Nice.
It was like the little train that could,
Yes, exactly.
Chugging along. And everybody who's seen it had the same reaction. That was the best part and the maybe unexpected part.
Yeah.
Everybody got it.
We had a standing ovation in the theaters.
Got it.
I couldn't believe it. Sitting and you think, geez. All right, you get it, huh? Didn't see that one coming.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was done. I
was just going to say, remember when my dentist, his name is Bob Riley.
Oh, yeah.
Been going for 35 years, 40 years. Great guy. I was telling him all about Michael's career, this and everything. So I said, Doc, you got to watch The Pretender. It's going to be on what was it?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. He goes, hey, send me an email, Mike. He says, I'll never remember this. So I said, I sent him a little reminder note, this, that, and the other thing. So that Saturday morning, I get a call from him. Jesus, I just saw The Pretender.
Oh.
I said, Doc, really? I said, no, I don't. Is it on yet? He goes, Mike, I'm telling you, last night, my wife wasn't going to watch it. So she was out doing something. He says, get in here. You got to see. This is Mike Kunda's kid. This is the movie they made about his life. And he went on and on and on and on and on. And so again, it was like I called you, Mike, right away.
Yeah,
I know.
It already debuted, on Prime, and so it was a lot of fun.
It's been a crazy journey. Stace, before we move on to that video, there's a lot more that I could bring up and talk. Maybe we'll have him back for part 2.
Sure.
Maybe we'll bring him and my mother on, and maybe
we gotta get Mom on here. Yeah,
I know. Maybe, I could see the two of them just sitting there on the couch side by side. We'll set something up over the house, and they'll both be wearing their little Rocky Files jersey, and we'll give our buddy Rick Babcock a big shout out. There he is.
There he is. Right.
That's it.
Love it.
That's it. It's time to bring the gun show. All right, now listen. Before we get out of here, I want to. You said somebody did a video. Tim did a video.
Yes. So we have Tim Wistert. He's been doing a bunch of videos for us, our trailer, and anytime we do a Where Are They Now? Yeah. And so when he found out that we were having you on, he's like, send me pictures, send me as much as you can. So he had a question for you. So he starts with his question, and then it continues on to his trailer that he made for you and everything that you did for Mike. So I'm going to hit play here, hang on. We wanted to do this live to get your reaction.
Good evening, Mr. Kunda. It's Tim Wistard here, and I just want to take a few minutes of your time, sir, to say how extremely excited I am that you are on the Rocky Files this week. This is a highly anticipated episode, sir. I am one of the people that have been bugging Mike over and over again to get your dad on the show so we can hear some more amazing stories of growing up, running the steps, and becoming Rocky and hiding in the woods to become Rambo. I do have a question for you, sir. My question is this. At what point did you stop trying to convince Mike not to become this character, because it's not a typical thing that somebody wants to grow up and have a career of, to the fact that, you know what, if this makes you happy, you go for it no matter what. And it certainly has turned out well for Mike. He has helped so many people. He's so inspiring and helping people with their dreams and accomplish the fact that don't ever give up. If this is something you believe in, you always keep moving forward. And that is a direct reflection on amazing parents. So I thank you very much, sir. In honor of you being on, I've created this little video for you. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. And as always, sir, keep punching. Thank you, sir.
What brings you here tonight? Watching television this one night and watching the promos for the film. I used to say, oh Christ, what are we gonna do with this kid? You know, he's not doing better in school. He's not doing what we want him to do. And I don't want to change. I like who I am. He's gonna do all that stuff. But all he was getting to be a better Rocky. He was a better Rambo. He was becoming better at his fantasy. It doesn't really matter, does it? We're walking in, and I wish we had a camera following us. He's going, I don't know, Dad, I can't do this. I can't win this. I can't win.
There ain't no chance. There's no chance. Now he will beat you uglier than your eye now. Now listen.
Morning, do his raw egg thing, you know, like we saw Rocky do, you know, and call his name, and he's got to go up and wrestle. And right the night, because he knew what was his double. You know, of course, he gets his ass kicked around the mat, you know, and but I was so proud of him, man. I'm so proud of him. Getting that bag again. Oh my God, he's got to stop. And that's he's gonna stop. He never gave up his dream. He never stopped fighting. He never stopped believing. So what more can you say?
He's my son.
How about that, huh?
Oh.
Good stuff.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. Look at me.
Don't be.
I got a little teary-eyed myself. Did a good job there, Timmy.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you so very, very much. That's beautiful.
It's good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Wow, what a very nice thing to do.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
He always gets me with that music too, Dad. He knows just that right music to play.
It's perfect. I mean, what can one say? Just it washes right over me.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I swear Tim sits there in his Rocky room and he's creating this stuff. He's like a Machiavellian villain of happiness. Like, how am I going to get them to cry?
He's great at it. He's got talent. He's got skill.
He is. And I actually think you answered his question a little earlier. It was someone else had a similar question.
So,
But you know what Tim did there? The one thing, and then I'm going to let you go, Dad. I'm going to let you get, because I know you want to probably grab some lunch or something. This first time at the Rocky Steps, that birthday present that you took me to, there was no Rocky tour back in the 80s. There was no Rocky tour. And you, Mom, and Jamie, we went to see the Italian Market, the Rocky Steps, and we went to some nondescript dinner somewhere. And I remember you had the look on your face when you hit the steps for the first time. I mean, they even overtook you on that.
Well, I was overwhelmed because it was iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, as many times as for the first time we saw the movie, you never tire of seeing the movie.
Right.
And what it meant to you then meant as much to me. And my mom wasn't a runner. I don't know if she
Mom took the picture.
She did. Oh, that's right.
Mom took the picture.
Pictures of us, doing that. But when you live the dream with a son like Michael, he makes you believe. He makes you believe, boy. I tell you, and it brought him to where he is now, and it's
good stuff.
It's not over yet. There's still more to come.
I hope not. There's still more I'd like to do. So
I know. I know it'll happen.
Stacy, before we let this amazing human being go, anything you want to say before I ask him my last question? I ask all our guests.
Oh yeah, Mike, thank you. You've been so fun. The stories are so sincere and so heartfelt. And I just, I'm a nurse. I've heard a million stories about family, and family doesn't always mean loyalty. It doesn't always mean, faithfulness or having someone's back. I've heard some very sad stories about family, and you are the opposite of that. And you've cultivated, a family that is tight and supportive, and it's moved on to Mike and Jay. And I don't know, your family is something that so many people wish they had. And I just want to thank you for being an example of what families should be going for. They should be shooting for, because not every family has each other's back the way you guys do. And that's what I loved the most about listening to your stories. So
thank you, Stace. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's been an honor to meet you. Each week I say to my wife, gotta meet this lady. She is so balanced for Michael in the way you put the show together. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
I hope we get to meet each other.
Oh yes. Oh, that's happening. Don't worry about it.
I hope it happens.
Well, I'm not going to get sappy like she did, because I've told you 100 times. I'll randomly call you and Mom, and I'll just tell you how proud I am. I believe when you feel it, pick up that goddamn phone and you call the people that mean something to you. Yeah. That is a thing I firmly believe in. Mm-hmm. But the question I ask everyone is, if you have 30 seconds in an elevator with Sylvester Stallone, what do you say to him?
Well, the obvious would be the obvious, right?
No, I don't. What would you say?
To create such an iconic character, and he's heard it a million times. So, Sly, if you're out there listening to this or watching this, or you eventually will, as Mike's dad, as a co-conspirator in the Kunda project, as it were, and based on the inspiration that you gave to him and millions of others, from a heartfelt dad, a dad that couldn't be prouder, couldn't be more supportive. My wife, Mike's brother, the wives. And again, you've heard it a million times, but thank you, Sly. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, from one dad to another dad. And I'm sure your 3 daughters and millions of others are being inspired by you every day. So, ciao.
Dad, thank you very much. I will see you in just a few seconds. I'm going to run to our undisclosed location and clean up. Stacy, sit tight. I'll be right back to finish the show.
Okay.
And hey, Dad, as we always say, keep
punching.
Keep punching.
Keep punching. Bye.
Bye. The old man pulled it off, huh?
Amazing, adorable, so sincere. You're lucky. You're lucky, parents. You know, as I said to you, we've talked about this. I'm sure there were moments that they wanted to shake you, but in the end, to come around and have them support you like that. I don't know. I love how tight your family is. I can say it 6 ways to Sunday. I love how good you guys are to each other.
That's it. You ought to see at a dinner, man, when everybody's here at the house together. There's 8 or 10 of us or whatever. We're just hanging out, laughing. I mean, a couple glasses of wine, and my mother's excellent cooking, and everyone just lets go of all their stresses, and you just start laughing your asses off. It's great. It's just some of the best conversations. It's really, really fantastic. But Dad, you did great. I can't wait for you to see this. You're going to enjoy it. And Mom, you're going to be very proud of him. He did very, very well. So,
he did so good. He did so good. And the parallels between you guys, I know I've already said it, but the parallels between you guys is crazy.
Right? It's amazing.
It's the same thing. And to me, it's not crazy. It's determination. That's what you guys have. You just like push. You both have that. And that's
some apples don't fall far.
Right. For sure.
They don't fall far. So I'm very proud of this episode. Episode 40 was huge.
Yes.
I think our closeout with all of our plugs, our tags.
Yeah.
You go first, pal.
Thank you. I'm going to start with our dear friend Tim Wister. Tim, thank you so much for your video and everything you do behind the scenes. You know, we have like the support staff in the background, and Lorenzo's helped us out, and Reminder's helped us out, and Tim and Tony C. They're like our support staff. And Tim, thank you for that video. And I just hope you enjoy Mike Sr.'s reaction, because you really, really got his heart. That was obvious. So he is at Tim Wistard and Round 14 Podcasts and Tim and Tony Two Jabronis. He's got a few addresses now. And then
they're out there.
Yeah, you can find me at Had Me at Yo, because that's true. And the Rocky Files, of course. And Michael, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at the Yo Philly Rocky Film Tour on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok at TikTok Rocky, TICKTOK, TikTok Rocky, where they hate my guts over there. And I've got some very funny responses. Well, they don't hate me that much because I have at least almost 130,000 followers. So that's something.
Wow, take that.
Yeah. So that's good. So, all the haters can suck it. And I wrote a little book a few years back called There It Is, Cue the Rocky Music. If you want to hear a lot more of what Dad was talking about today and what I was going on about, lot of these stories are in detail in there, and they're really a lot of fun to read. And we did a little movie called The Pretender. There it is. You see that idiot running up those steps in there? Those are the Rocky steps, and that's me at 15 years old running the steps for the very first time. You can see I've got a yellow shirt, black shorts, and red, white, and blue tube socks. Striped tube socks. That's when the tubes were very in at that point.
At the time, very stylish.
Anyways, Stacy, another great podcast. As fragmented as we were, delivering the news. We are here. We are always going to be here. And you killed it this week, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to still be doing this with you. You've been so good to me, and we're just having a blast. Yeah.
I'm having one of the best times ever doing this.
Yeah.
I have to go make a phone call because someone's health insurance is being jerky. So I've got to go get that taken care of right now, because hopefully by the time this podcast airs on Thursday, I will have already had my CAT scan for the kidneys.
Right.
Oh, I don't want to wait any longer. Okay. I got to go.
Keep us posted.
I will. Take care and keep
punching. Bye-bye.